Welcome to the Blessed Teach Show. This is Rick, your host, here on Sunday, September 8th, here live on YouTube, going a little bit early, around 2:15 p.m. Central Time here, based upon just some family events I have. But looking forward to 3 huge pieces of content. Stack show. The first thing we're going to go over is this Dorian sign. SB2 talking about calm is over. Actually, the first piece we're going to go over is another anon theory about what the deep state might have been trying to do with Dorian, and then what did Dorian actually end up doing as it got controlled by the white hats. So that's going to be a couple huge pieces of content. And then we're going to get into a Bible study on John 18. Don't miss that. One of the most powerful stories in the Bible about Peter denying Christ 3 times after it was predicted by Christ, and just an amazing truth that comes out of John 18. We have Judy Brunton was the first one on. We got, I think, Amy and Scoob and Amy Marcia is all 3. Looks like we got 3 moderators on already. Thank you guys for all being on. We're going to get rolling here. We got people from California and Texas and Central Texas and all over the place. Hi from Germany, Varus 2.0. Thanks for joining us. Got North Carolina in the house. Where else are we at? We got Central. I already got the Central Texas. So thank you guys for all joining us. Let's get rolling because I have tons of content. Just a warning, I'm not sure if I can get through this in an hour because it's going to be tough to get through 3 really beefy parts of the these decodes. So the last drop, as you know, was August 1st. Codes before D-Class, as we said last time. HN be coming on board anytime soon now. We got Danny from Norway. Isabella from Australia. We got people from Maine and Washington State and Albuquerque, Kansas, Southern California. Thank you so much. Okay, let's roll here, guys. I first want to start with an awesome sponsor when it comes to really thinking about the full-scale panic like Wall Street. Now, but quietly, secretly, as you watch this within full view of the markets, that's exactly what's happening in the U.S. corporate insiders are doing. They call it financial prepping. Be cautious, protecting their assets, and all sorts of fancy explanations. But make no mistake, this is controlled panic. CNN reported $600 million of stock has been sold each day in August. This only happens previously before the 2008 crash. Insiders selling topped $10 billion for 5 straight months. Meanwhile, gold is rocketing and demand is a 3-year high according to the World Gold Council. That's why I'm going to be talking to you about Noble Gold's gold IRA here. There's the 800 number you can dial as well. The rise in the gold price and silver shows no sign of slowdown anytime soon, and investors seeking shelter for stocks they cashed in are piling into precious metals, which have risen 32% since August last year. Precious metals, gold and silver as an IRA or 401k rollover will keep you safe and help you ride out this latest storm as they always have done. But you need to act fast. Call Noble Gold here at 877-646-5347. Make sure you let them know Blessed Teach sent you. And then help them move your money to safety. Or you can hit the link below. I got a link down there. It's my affiliate content. Someone will be in contact with you to get the free gold and silver investment guide that's been downloaded over 50,000 times. Again, call 877-646-5347 or hit the link below to get the free guide. All right, guys, let's jump into this thread. It was really interesting. A lot of people sent this to me, by the way. 3 or 4 people sent this to me because it's all about Dorian, and even though I've been really kind of tracking, trying to figure out what's going on with Dorian. SB2 Decode's all about it. He has a much bigger view of this than 3 days and 3 nights is here. But this is 3 days and 3 nights on Twitter. So you can just go to show this thread right here, and it'll blow up and show you the thread. And it says, how do you nuke a country without them knowing that they're being nuked? If a Cat 5 hurricane hit a nuclear plant dead center, and at the exact same time an underwater nuke was set off next to it, would the resulting nuclear meltdown look like Chernobyl or Fukushima incident? And it's linking to this 1448 Q post where it says, weather alert worldwide, stay vigilant and maintain situational awareness. Q. Talking, of course, about the FFs worldwide, right? And the next thing, it was 2 questions about Dorian. Did CNN knowingly schedule the timing of its Wednesday 9/4 climate crisis town hall to coincide exactly with the expectation of a radioactive fallout from a nuclear meltdown plant in Port St. Lucie Nuclear Plant, the PSL? You decide. I'm just asking. So they just happened to have this Wednesday 5 p.m. climate crisis thing with all the Democrats to be talking about it right after it was supposed to make landfall. So this is all under the assumption that the Black Hats had really tried to use their DEWs, their direct energy weapons, or their HARP, a way to be able to control the hurricane to actually go right into the nuclear power plant and then set off the nuclear power plant. Because you remember they're talking about Trump using nuclear bomb to try to control Dorian. So did you know that on Sunday, 8/25, all the early Dorian storm tracks showed a promising young hurricane that was estimated to strike the Port St. Lucie nuclear plant dead center as a major hurricane. And so there it goes, Sunday, 8/25, early Dorian storms tracks show it hitting dead center at the Port St. Lucie nuclear power plant. Question about Dorian. What are the odds that the Sunday 8/25, while Dorian was a small storm, that the MSM would leak a story that Trump said he would nuke a hurricane to stop it from hitting the U.S.? Did Trump's NSA have intel that they were planning a FF, a false flag, weather event? And scoop, Trump suggesting nuke hurricane to stop them from hitting the U.S. MSM leaks that Trump would nuke a hurricane to stop them from hitting the U.S. What are the odds? 5 questions about Dorian. Dorian was growing larger, and on Tuesday, 8/27/19, would you be surprised to learn that CNN released the schedule for its climate crisis town hall to fall on Wednesday 9/4, just a day or two after the estimated destruction of Florida? Opportunistic, perhaps? CNN announces details for the climate crisis. Number 6, questions about Dorian. On Wednesday, 8/28, Dorian passed directly over Epstein's torture island. Were they trying to destroy evidence? Were they trying to harm Puerto Rico because they need money? Did we attempt to counteract to weaken Dorian to protect evidence? So there you go. See, it came right over there. On Thursday, 8/29, CIA tweeted, "We're in the business of anticipating things before they happen. Hashtag PSL." Then they showed a pumpkin spice latte, a PSL. What if CIA was signaling that they knew Dorian was a weapon heading straight for Port St. Lucie? Now, isn't that wild? The CIA says we're in the business of anticipating things before they happen, and it has hashtag PSL, like this pumpkin splash latte, when it really could mean this, where the original path of the hurricane was going. Were you aware that on Thursday, 8/29, Trump received his Dorian weather briefing with the first map showing a dead center strike on Port St. Louis PSL? We now have Trump's nuke comment along with the PSL target and the CIA using the PSL term. 3 things. On Friday, 8/30, Trump cancels his trip to Poland and retreats to Camp David for the weekend. Trump makes the remark about a dead center hit several times. Was Trump required to go to Camp David because of the nuclear threat to Port St. Lucie, PSL? Imagine a Cat 5 hurricane striking dead center on PSL. Now imagine a pre-staged sunken container from a ship or a mini ship following the storm detonating a nuke underwater next to PSL. Could this create the illusion of a Fukushima meltdown? What are the odds that suddenly on Sunday 9/1, as Trump calmly emerges from Camp David, that Dorian's storm forecast would project a northern turn after hitting the Chinese and marked ports in Freeport? Did we counterattack Dorian right back at them? It sure looks like it, because that thing took a sharp right turn, right? Trump's military would never risk an innocent person's life unless we had to save millions of innocent lives. Was our military forced to stall Dorian on Freeport on Monday 9/2 to permanently eliminate their ability to cause nuclear meltdown at PSL? On Tuesday 9/3, Dorian makes the miraculous north turn right, downgrading from a Cat 5 to a Cat 2. Ask yourself, Have you ever seen a Cat 5 hurricane stop in its tracks for 36 hours and then turn harmlessly north when barely touching our coastline? The odds. On Wednesday, 9/4, Trump's map has a marker hand-drawn in Alabama. What if Trump is signaling that he knows they plan to detonate a nuke next to PSL right behind the storm to create a massive fault cloud that would extend all the way to Alabama? Remember that Sharpie? They put the Sharpie on the end of the hurricane coming in. It's so funny to see Trump trolling CNN as they mentioned Alabama, and then they criticize him for saying Alabama. What a classic. On Wednesday, 9/4/19, we have the CNN climate crisis town hall with all 10 Democrat candidates. Great timing. Is it possible they were expecting to gleefully discuss the destruction of Florida along with a nuclear meltdown and fallout cloud drifting to Alabama? How can you explain this image where they renamed Alabama as Mississippi when showing Dorian warnings? Was this code to warn their producers to stop any prepared references of a mass exodus of people to Alabama that were fleeing for their lives? This is really wild. This is CNN again, where they put Alabama as Mississippi. So it clearly shows that they were talking about Alabama, but they named it Mississippi here. So was that a mistake or some type of code? So that's the big question. Would it be convenient for them if the climate crisis storm was blamed for poisoning the red countries in North Florida with radioactive material while making Disney off limits for evidence gathering like Chernobyl? Wasn't that on Netflix recently? On Thursday, 9/15, Dorian wandered north and the eye wall briefly touched a tiny barrier island just north of Bald Head, North Carolina, called No Name Island. Was this the military way of letting us know we survived this battle and the good guys won? Isn't that wild that it would stop on No Name Island? Our friends at the NSA also tweeted about PSL twice last week on 8/27. Why is everyone talking about paid sick leave? Of course we get that here. Hashtag PSL. So crazy stuff going on. I was going to go look at that. So again, they're talking about pumpkin spice latte. So they're basically all saying different things about PSL. So you got the CIA, obviously the C_A rogue Twitter, fighting the NSA, which is the white hat Twitter, right? So that is a pretty awesome thread by 3 days, 3 nights. But the SB2 Decode that just came out today, about a couple hours ago, widens this as a much bigger meaning than even that. Obviously, avoiding a nuclear war is huge. SB2 does not mention that, by the way. But it is consistent that the white hats were in control of this. And it's for a much bigger reason from what my title says right here behind me. The calm is over. The human trafficking routes are being closed down. The operatives are being arrested, and the hurricane was used as a covering for that. So we're going to get into that detailed decode here in just a second. Crazy stuff. Here's my second sponsor. This is GetTheTea.com. Now, Life Change Tea is all natural with organic ingredients, non-GMO, with no caffeine. Super strength Life Change Tea gets things moving. Life Change Tea aids in cleansing colon buildup, occasional digestive slowdown, and occasional constipation. Feel like a new you, drop a few pounds, and drink the tea that makes you go. Now, yes, you try this. It's a refreshing cold tea. It's really an herbal drink, and it makes you want more. Just drink 2 to 8 ounces, a glass a day, and watch Life Change Tea do its job. You won't be sorry. Try today. Where? At GetTheTea.com. Again, GetTheTea.com. And they carry wonderful organic supplements as well. That's GetTheTea.com. And if you want some mind over matter tips, go to the Health Matters Now YouTube channel for some interesting insights. Try that out. Here is SB2 with its brand new, it looks 3.9 hours ago this came out, all the way up, and the Alabama mystery solved. So this is a very long decode with like 20 images, right? So it'll take some time to get through this. So I'm going to purposely summarize some of it as we go here. And it's so long, I better take a drink of water before we go. There we go. To answer the many questions I'm receiving about Dorian, I decided to take a short break from finishing the very exciting Part 3 article on the G7 victories and go through the hurricane updates provided by Maestro. Hey, Law Dog, good to see you on as well. What if I told you that solving a riddle made of 5 tweets posted on September 4th, 2019 would give you everything you need to know about Hurricane Dorian? Would you believe me if I told you that these 5 tweets can provide enough material to write an entire book about geoengineering and the current war opposing Trump and the satanic cabal? Here is the riddle. So here's the 5 tweets. I've seen these. I think I've even forwarded some of them and retweeted some of them. Right, and this talks about the hurricane and going to northern Carolina, Virginia, including Alabama, and Parmical Sounds. The warnings now runs from North Savannah River to North Carolina, Virginia borders, and the above sounds. More on. So this was basically the first thing that was retweeted on September 4th at 11:50:45. We know how important timestamps are. Here's another one talking about, gives an update on Hurricane Dorian. That was at 12:26 on the 4th. And then you look at here at 12:37, he 35-second video. We know time of the video is very important, as well as you see Ivanka Trump retweeted something here, or I guess Trump retweeted it, but Ivanka Trump's post about the whole Academy for Women Enterprise in Colombia. So that was inaugural class, and you can see that's a 57-second video. And then you see another Trump, Ivanka tweet, all talking about rural Colombia here again. So those are the 5 tweets he's going to really dig into. In this article, I told you the meaning of Dorian and its relation to QAnon and the multidimensional war we are engaged in with these images. So these first 2 images are just repeats of what we've already reviewed, showing how it came to the HAARP, HAARP, showing that wrath, climate. So decoding all this type of stuff. He even pointed us to a Q drop. Do you feel the emotion, anger this writer has? Doxing the billboard owners. So the decoded message on this was, on July 4th, 2019, we witnessed a digital weather battle in D.C. in real time. Black hats were so angry and eager to sabotage the Salute to America event that they carried out a major attack at the risk of uncovering themselves and raising the question from the public. Is this a coincidence? Isn't this man-made? Fortunately, white hats were able to clear the sky rapidly and protect D.C. from what the black hats were hoping to be successful weather attack with devastating consequences. And by the way, I was there in D.C. At the Salute to America. It was pretty awesome. It was rainy, but it actually backfired completely because it was so hot during the day, and the weather actually cooled, the rain actually cooled it down, and everybody was there despite it raining constantly on us. So it just showed that there's a lot of committed patriots at that. And just to think that all the big flooding that happened afterwards, after we all left, showed that their weather manipulation was reversed or held back until all that weird flooding happened right at the Capitol area, or right where the Washington Monument was, and where obviously Trump spoke, and where the famous Martin Luther King did I Dream speech, etc. So link 2 is the earthquake attack. Talking about here's another tweet that pointed to Y being the cabal, and then it pointed to 1424 saying think timing. They are losing all control, and the decode from this one that we heard back then was the cabal and family Y have lost control. The earthquake in California and the rain in D.C. on July 4th was their attempt to sabotage the Salute to America event and display leverage through the geoengineering weapons they still have. The attacks were contained by the military. The geoengineering war between white hats and black hats has begun. Black hats have to find ways to clear the sky from what they know is being sprayed over them without being able to publicly address it. Geoengineering warfare is one of these ways. The more attacks from the black hats, the more they will expose their troops and chain of command. Enjoy the show. So that was back all about the July 4th incident. I told you that the geoengineering war has begun. Based upon the information, many of you have certainly read between the lines and identified Dorian's real purpose. The fact that Dorian is sharing the value of 61 with QAnon is an indication that it is a weapon in the hands of the white hats. Now, could have been the black hats trying to hit that PCL, and then SB2 does not address that. So I believe that could be a potential theory, right? That they had all those things about the CIA talking about PCL, pointing to that. You had the NSA talking about it as well, and you could have had a black hat making the strength of the hurricane, hoping to guide it into there and set off a nuclear weapon, just like they said, maybe. And then the white hats took it over, but SB2 is claiming that this was under our control all the way, basically to destroy human trafficking and basically unleash the counterattack of what he did on December 21st, 2017, of confiscating all their assets, but now he's going after the ports directly, using the hurricane as a cover. That's kind of the spoiler alert for a very long decode. That's awesome. So let's continue. Let's solve the riddle, and we'll clearly see what Dorian was designed for and what it has accomplished. As usual, we'll go through the pieces of the puzzle first, and we'll assemble them in the end. Ready? We start with pulling tweet 2 and watch the Maestro's update on Dorian. So here's this tweet right here that he's talking about. And let's listen to this little 51-second clip. This second, that's not playing. I can tell by looking at my settings. I thought I set this correctly, but I must have clicked the wrong one. I did click the wrong one. There we go. Now I've got it to where you guys can all hear it. Here we go.
We thought we'd give you a update on the hurricane. We got lucky in Florida, very, very lucky indeed. We had actually, our original chart was that it was going to be hitting Florida directly. Maybe I could just see that, Kevin. It was going to be hitting directly, and that would have affected a lot of other states. But that
There's
was
the Sharpie on Alabama.
Chart, and you see it was going to hit not only Florida but Georgia. It could have was going toward the Gulf. That was what was originally projected, and it took a right turn. And ultimately, hopefully, we're going to be lucky. It depends on what happens with South Carolina and North Carolina. But it's heading up the coast, and Florida was grazed, mostly wind, and we're going to have a...
There you go. So that was the tweet right there that he was pointing us to. We put tweet 1 and 2 side by side and pulling their Q drops, and Operation provides the first clue. So here we go. Where are the oddest? And so this actually points to Q1150. Where are the oddest? And the second tweet points to 1230, which says, we came here for a reason, pointing to the Q boards. That's why we're excited about having them back here pretty soon with 8chan coming back up. The decoded messages, where are the oddest? And we came here for a reason, are clearly indicators we need to pay close attention to details to extract the hidden messages, and that the Maestro and Q trust anons will be successful. So here's the decode that we have. So now it says, knowing the oddest zone to start solving, we need to go back and watch this video. Here's the famous video about calm before the storm.
You guys know what this represents?
What all of it?
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We
the
have the
president?
world's great military people in this room. I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint on your answer.
Thank you, everybody.
You'll find out. What do we do next? Yes, we calculate the time difference between the day the Maestro talked about the storm and the day he updated us about it. So now we heard the calm before the storm. We just saw that on October 5th, 2017. And right now he gives us an update that was on September 4th, 2017. That's 700 days. Q1150. 57. Has POTUS made a statement found not to be true? Nothing stated. Should be discounted. Moving fast. And if you look at 700, that could be, and you go to the Gematria calculator, one statement that it could mean is, don't stop me from doing the little things I don't like doing, but need to be done. So this is, to me, the inference here is, why would the White House do anything that would destroy the lives of all these people in the Bahamas? Well, it's because they're doing human trafficking and drug running. They control there, and they're doing horrible, horrible things at a mass global scale. So in a war, you have to have some casualties, and so there's a big reason for that. Not to mention if it was the nuclear facility potential black hat target, right? Then we notice Ivanka tweeted from Colombia at 1:27 p.m. We analyzed a delta with her father's retweet timestamp. Find confirmations, and the puzzle starts to come together. So here you go again. You look at this update that we got. It was retweeted at 12:30:32. The delta between her and Ivanka was 56:29. 56 is the end. 29, calm. Woohoo! What's this mean? So the main thing, and that's why I named this episode the Dorian sign. Calm is over. End of the calm phase. What's that mean? The storm is here. That's pretty exciting if you think about it, guys. And then here is they're looking at the Columbia is 70, 700 days, pointing to Dorian. The decode is this: the plan, and had Ivanka Trump tweet from Colombia to confirm the 700-day delta between the calm before the storm meeting and POTUS's update on Dorian. Her tweet comes 56:29 after the Maestro's retweet to confirm the calm phase has come to an end and that the world is now going to change for the better. The storm is here, guys. Dorian was all about the storm being here. Next, we should identify the logical link between the NHC, the National Hurricane Center, retweet and the Oval Office update. So here's the National Hurricane Session retweet, and here is the update. So if you look at some of this stuff, it says, what is the logical connection between the NHC image and the Maestro speech? Try to solve. Think outside the box. Remember, you're in the oddest zone. If you highlight keywords, it'll help you. Good luck. So now he's challenging us to kind of think for ourselves here. And some of the key words that we just heard him say, we got lucky in Florida. Very, very lucky indeed. And he's talking about the chart. It was going to be hitting Florida, hitting, chart, hit, took a right turn, Florida, grazed, wind, report. So we'll see all these words coming up in the rest of this decode. Peruvian coffee for those with visual skills and who saw that the NHC image looked like a golf club hitting a ball or a turntable carriage on a vinyl record. Check this out. This is kind of interesting. That does look exactly like a golf club, doesn't it? Hitting its target, dead center. The target being the ports. Pretty wild if you look at that. Let's back up here. These visuals are confirmed by the Maestro's speech. He warned you, where are the oddest? Here is the solution. Solving the keyword. Notice the similarity. So you had this update with all these words we just read and heard. And then you have the golf club view of the National Hurricane Center. And it's talking about chart, like a record. Hit, like a hit record, right? Heading up, like charts, like top chart hits, right? Right turn, turntable. Think about a turntable, right? And then you think golf. Talking about the golf and grazed, like golf and grass. And there you go. That is interesting stuff, isn't it? We now have the sub-puzzle. Music charts grazed. Can you solve? The key was to know some hip-hop. And remember, the word grazed was used by the media to describe how Suge Knight's survived Tupac's murder. So you remember all this, and so this was all talking about the whole thing about grazed his head. It says, was grazed in the head by a bullet, fragmented from suffered only minor injuries. Here it says, Tupac was hit 4 times. Knight's forehead was grazed. And Surge Knight was grazed by a bullet which hit his neck. And Grace is 61. Tupac is 61. QAnon is 61. So this is all pointing to rap music and QAnon. As you can see, with multiple confirmations, the maestro is clearly pointing at rap music and hip-hop. In case you have doubts, let's read the drop pulled by the original White House timestamp at 12:26. Look at the spectacular confirmation. So here's the original tweet, and if you look at the capital letters, it says flood, and it points to 12:26. You look at 12:26, and you're going to get common Q. So Q and on is 61. Ebony is 61. So it's pointing to some more things, and he even has something that's called common. Rick Ross announces new book of 2019. What's the name of his book? Hurricanes. Intriguing, huh? So there's another connection. So the decode is this. Capital letters of the timestamp add up to 52. Flood. The retweet timestamp is 12:26, which polls Q 12:26, where we read the line common Q. Common connects to rapper Common, and Q connects to Q and on 61. Same value as Ebony 61, which connects to the magazine Ebony that published an article about the rapper Common and Rick Ross' upcoming books. Their books are respectively entitled Let Love Have the Last Word and Hurricanes. Interesting stuff, huh? Are you enjoying the beauty of this? From the maestro's tweet, we went from flood to hurricanes through the keyboard, staying in the context of hip-hop. Now that we are certain of the relevance of hip-hop in the riddle, we go through our music collection and try to find matches with the 5 tweets of the riddle. Where is the first confirmed match? And it connects Arrested Development to Ivanka's tweet 4. And so now you're getting into some more hip-hop. Arrested Development. There you go. And it actually, look at this. That's 3 years, 5 months, 2 days in the life of, and so 3, 5, 2 are these key numbers. And you'll see here, there's the 25, 3, 3, 23. If you look at the letters, the Ivanka, the capital letters of these lines, you can see Y, C, C, W. And all the capital letters add up to 152, which would point you to September 5th. And it points to in the days of, at the first part of his tweet here, when he's talking in the early days of the hurricane, but it could be meaning something else. You take all the capital letters, it points to arrested, 90 for the Gematria. You take all the capital letters of this tweet, it comes to Arrested Development, 221, or Don't Stop the Music. And another hint from the Chosen One, early QAnon, and early is 61, QAnon 61. The tweet starts with a hidden in the days of QAnon, referring to the biblical in the days of Noah, cyclical nature of history, the Hellsoid. Now here's the decoded message of all that. The capital letters in the vertical line, Ivanka's tweets pull the digits 3, 5, and 2, which appear in the Arrested Development's album right here, 352. Coincidence? The capital letters of the tweet add up to 152 for September 5th, which is a hint we should investigate what happens the next day. By doing so, we find the 6:48 a.m. tweet starting with in the days of QAnon has capital letters confirming twice Arrested Development. We are also advised not to stop the music. Next, we happily follow the maestros advising us not to stop the music, and we play the hit song of the album. I can't play this because copyright strikes, but this is Arrested Development. And if you read it. If you listen to that song, it says, did you catch the message? They want to go the, quote, nigga route respecting my black queen. Does this ring a bell? Did you notice people every day equals 174? Eye of the storm is 174. Here's the solution right here. People every day, 174. Eye of the storm, 174. So phase 1. So you look at all this, talking about all this, and linking the Guardian here about Trump drops repeated threat to jail Clinton. She went through a lot, as well as Donald Trump wins the 2016 election. It said phase 1 was, I won and tried to move on. My base wanted me to lock her up. I took it on me and tried to unite America and to focus on making it great again. And you can see there's lies about his family and entourage, investigations, Russia, Mueller, Comey, Books, T.I. Snoop, Omaroso, Scaramucci, all these attacks from the cabal. So phase 2 was they refused to let me govern peacefully, launched bogus investigations, lied with their fake news, and through me and my family disrespected the American people. And so you just take some of the lyrics of that song. That route disrespecting my black queen, I was a target because I'm a fashion misfit, etc. Here's phase 3 though, as you start getting into the year of the boomerang. It says even though the Mueller probe concluded there was no collusion, no obstruction, they continued to resist. Well, here's the boomerang. And you take that lyrics to that song, it says, I told the ends, please let us pass. It took 3 or 4 cops to pull me off of him. So this is the boomerang. It's the boomerang. And why did Maestro pull a group called Arrested Development? To solve this, you need to take a closer look at Ivanka's picture in tweet 5 and notice the symbolism connected to the Q board. Then you needed to identify the message hidden between the WGDP, which you'll see in the picture of Ivanka, acronym, and see how the song title and artist name confirmed the acronym. Read carefully. The Arrested Development of their logistics. So you take this album we looked at, which Arrested Development, People Every Day. You start breaking apart the capital letters, right, and you can end up reworking them to WGDP, which matches WGDP in the picture here of Ivanka, just making these two related. And those letters can also mean DPWG, DP World Group, which is a group of chairman and CEO website. You can see this. They're all over the world for shipping lanes. It's all about shipping, just like human trafficking, etc. And remember back to Q745 where it says find the link, look around. What does it signify? Q. What are they sitting on? Perfectly lined up. Why? Learn Q. And we know that they're sitting on flowers as well as streams of water. So here's the decode. They are sitting on flowers to signify the trade of children and slaves. The link is water, and they are perfectly lined up to symbolize the shipping lanes, the international port network, and logistics used for the nefarious activities. The DP World Group is used as an example to illustrate the type of ingredients logistics that it's referred to. The QAnon storm named Dorian marks the arrested development of the port infrastructure and logistics that were used to conduct children and human trafficking. Trump's effort is worldwide, but he started at home, on the East Coast in particular. It's over. They will all be wiped out. Ivanka's WGDP meets more than the eyes. Now you understand why the maestro said at the end of his update, mostly wind. And we are going to have a report on that. Wind equals 50 equals DPGW. And report connects to port. If you also notice that WGDP equals 50 equals ever, and look around, you'll access the Clinton Foundation variation of the Dubai port. The Dubai port model through the witch's secret service codenamed Evergreen. Read carefully. Here we are, more about the WGDP model and Evergreen. So there you have the WGP is 50. Q1279 says define Evergreen. Q3451 explore further. You can see it's all these green plants are here, right? And also you see the flowers on Ivanka shirt pointing back to the confirmation of this whole thing that we talked about with the golf and the evergreen. And here you got Q748, flowers and gardens. What does a flower represent? What does deflower represent? Think children. Think slaves. Think sheep. Q. And we saw this evergreen aviation. We saw HRC's code name, as you know, was Evergreen. And all these shipping of everything. Evergreen named Samar and his agent in Haiti. So these Haiti liners were named Evergreen. Here's a winter vacation fit for a monarch. The monarch butterfly heads south for winter. Example of sick-coded article founded on the Evergreen website. Now, if you look at this, and that's this Evergreen Aviation website. Here's the decoded message. Evergreen is the integrated shipping infrastructure, sharing HRC's secret service code name and participating in the Clinton Foundation's international trafficking of children. It's protected by fake news operations like Jake Tapper, Q1279, and expands its tentacles through local subcontracting. For example, in Haiti, Samar was named its local agent and was in charge of the shipping the children out of Haiti. HRC did not pick the name Evergreen randomly. It symbolizes prolonged youth life and is another illustration of the cult of the dead queen discussed in my chemtrail article. The name Evergreen refers to the consumption of children's blood and adrenochrome made possible by the activities of companies like Evergreen Aviation and its partner network. In addition to the blood and children supply component, Evergreen has also played a major role in the cabal's international mind control agenda through its chemtrail dissemination component. Coded articles illustrating these bloody realities and explicitly mentioned monarch or heads going south for the winter can be found on the Evergreen's website. Now you know about the witch, her love for green, Evergreen, what it's all about, and its connection to the Clinton Foundation. You are equipped to discover the satanic blood road along our East Coast that they've never tell you about in geography class. The Satan blood road from Epstein Island to all the way up. Here's Hillary Clinton in all her green on all these photos. A lifelong love for green and its multiple variations. That did not end too well. Q1081. These people are stupid and sick. If you look at the comment here, it says, do you now see why Hussein was instructed to bring Cuba? Their plan was to turn it into a C_A hub like North Korea and build a strong shipping route along our East Coast from Epstein Island all the way up. So you can see here is Epstein Island right here through Puerto Rico, through the Dominican Republic, through Haiti, all the way to Cuba, then up to the Bahamas, then to the East Coast of the United States, and all the way up toward Washington, D.C. Down here it's U.S. East Coast, Florida, Bahamas, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Little St. James Virgin Island. Let's say in the Gulf area, let's stay in the Gulf area, and solve the Gulf component of the riddle and why the maestro said, after mentioning Florida, it was going toward the Gulf. The trick was to pull the third tweet. So you look at this, this third tweet's actually got 35 seconds, which can also mean wrap. Think mirror, par. So that brings in the Gulf, and then another confirmation of the Gulf. And know some basic golf. And so if you look at this timestamp as well, timestamp 1237 brings you to drop 1237 of Q. Talks several times about hands and the hands of the believers, couple hands, right? And we have numerous helicopters, and we're sending some people to give them a hand, and they need a big hand. So this is a quote from Trump in the video. That is right here. So all talking about hands here. As you can see, we have another strong confirmation on rap music, but there's a new item coming from golf, and it's par. Can you solve this? Take a minute and try to find out how par, P-A-R, relates to the maestro's war against the cabal and where it gets you to. Peruvian coffee, for those who remembered how Skull and Bones had a Greenpeace paraglider fly over Trump property in Turnberry, Scotland to deliver a well below par message accompanied with the death of Secret Service agent Remagan. There's a video right here. You'll see this fly right over. It says Trump well below par. And that culminated in the death of a Secret Service agent. Trump well below par. green piece is up above it, right? It says, I decoded this tragic event in detail in this article. You can go back and see SB2's article on that. If we notice the Skull and Bones message was sent 419 days before the Maestro's update on Dorian, we access amazing information. Read carefully. This is image 14. Illuminati, it's been 419 days. Here's my response. So this is Trump's response to the Illuminati. So you look at his tweets and you look at all the capital letters here. Now you're going to see Illuminati, I endured. Now I have my own agenda. That's 419 Gematria. Now you'll see here it's talking about Friday, July 13th, 2018 was this Turnberry Trump well below par. You look at the WGDP tweet of Ivanka and look at the size of these. You'll start being able to get some other gematria. That's these longer things. And then you've also got her talking about El Celero and strawberries several times in that tweet. You look at the capital letters there, and you're going to get in the days of Noah, 184. Strawberry is 149. So is Skull and Bones is 149. And Barry, who could that be? Barry, as in the real name for Obama? Kind of interesting, isn't it? Make this a little bit larger. Now, what's interesting, the decoded message is this. The Illuminati, it's been 419 days since your Turnberry death threat. I endured your persecution, and your judgment has now arrived. As in the days of Noah, I was given the power to expel you from earth and make you return to where you begin. The storm has arrived. It is a new end for you and a new beginning for mankind. There's some pretty cool quotes up here I don't have time to review, but continuing. Did you solve the name for the strawberry farm Ivanka visited being El Salero? I told you in this article that the day of the Antichrist sees Christ, he will melt like salt in water. I pray him aloud to meet very soon my brothers and sisters who understand these things. For now, let's continue gathering the piece of the puzzle. I think this is so cool. Here is SB2 praying that those who understand the Bible, basically, that his brothers and sisters in Christ who understand these things. I'm excited about that too. We have Illuminati, par equals 35, rap equals 35, and the blood road, if you notice, 35 is also the value for China, and that it's the current location of the cabal's tent. Tweets 3 and 4 pull up an unexpected guest from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico on the blood road, Fat Joe pulled in. So you see this. You see also that the 35 is China as well as par, and all the capital letters equal 70. 71 is royal. Bahamas, if you take one from them, that would 45. If you take 45 minus the 1, you're going to get 1 plus 44. So that's taking the 1 from there to get royal Bahamas all the way up. All pointing back to this whole well below par. Here's my response, dudes. I'm coming after you. I'm coming after your supply lines. I'm coming after your human trafficking, your crimes against humanity, right? And then here's an article from this Puerto Rican guy saying, Fat Joe calls Donald Trump delusional over Puerto Rico's hurricane relief. So here he is attacking Trump, right? And so, but this just shows the supply line is all the way up, and Puerto Rico is one key part of this whole thing, right? And they like to have all that chaos so they can do all those things with all that. And so now, if you look at also Ivanka's tweet here, and you take 57 can be Fat Joe. So that brings in the whole Fat Joe thing from September of 2018. The decoded message is this: well below par equals 144. Equals all the way up. The cabal's message to Trump in Scotland was, you can't win. We've strengthened China, took control of the ports, and control the blood roads in the U.S. all the way up to the White House. We have operations in government, business, media, and entertainment working for us that will oppose you. We are killing Agent Ramadan and flying over your property to illustrate this infiltration and control. That was the message back during this whole Trump well below par. Now you know why Fat Joe and other similar operators have been so vocal about hurricane relief efforts. It's the Clinton Foundation Haiti play. They want to be part of the controlled chaos to make their money and move all the way up the food chain. Watch, he told you here in this video. So this is Fat Joe. Again, I can't play it because of copyright strikes, but Fat Joe singing this song. And he says, you thought I pulled this Fat Joe video randomly? No, no, no. Frames 241 and 320 are connected to the riddle tweet in a strong and spectacular way. So if you played this video and looked at 241 and 320, you're going to see a couple of these pictures that show up here. And all the capital letters of this updated deal is 52. Again, 51 is elite, which ties to that video that has a picture of this Royal Elite vodka. And then also you'll see, and it shows it a couple of times, it's on those frames. Those are two frames you just talked about at 241 and at 320, right? And then you look at this same update. Again, that was the 70 that Royal was. So that's why you take the one from here and add it here. You get Elite Royal pointing to this video. Decoded message. This is pure delectation for the mind. The two tweets confirm each other while working in conjunction to provide a proof from the music video and even at the capital letter count. Thank you, POTUS. So next we analyze the video further to discover it's a crash course in the history of the blood and drug show. How it operates, who provides, who distributes, how Flynn was targeted very early on for knowing, and how operations aspire to climb the ladders of this bloody invisible parallel society all the way up. Crash course on the blood and drug road. So now you start looking at that whole video that I can't play because it's copyright strikes, but you can see it has a picture of this girl. China, port control plus fentanyl. You got this girl with this big candy PGNS on it. Denny Spank, child abuse cover up. You've got ICE, talking about human trafficking. Boots on the ground, Q1009, clown, black ops. There's a picture of Ace's New York here, Kate Spade. Distributors, here's this picture of what we just showed you, Royal Elite. Bill Clinton's 122, just like Royal Elite. 867 equals 22 equals 1993. The Bill Clinton machine since 1993. Here you got many helicopters, shipping infrastructure, logistics, showing the helicopters in the background of the video. The video also shows look at all these words talking about logistics, as he's wearing a shirt of a logistics company. And then here you've got another picture in the video has Flynn right there, Fly, N-Y-O-N, Flynn, yo Flynn. And it says, and NMH 35 is China. Please get that man out of New York. China, please get Flynn out of the Trump Tower. Here is the picture there, aspiring to climb the trafficking ladder. Let's end where we started. The maestro began saying this. We thought we'd give you an update on the hurricane. We got lucky in Florida. Very, very lucky indeed. Can you solve? Do you like draft punk? Here is the biggest hit. It's called Get Lucky. I can't play this either, but you go. I'll pull up I can pull up the actual lyrics. I'll let you guys do that yourself. Just go lyrics, draft punk, Get Lucky, and you'll see that it's going to have some of the stuff that we're looking at. Here's Tupac. Do you like Tupac? Let's listen to his song entitled Pain. So he takes a lot of the lyrics from here and here. SB2 does, and he decodes something out of it. You thought I pulled these two songs randomly? No, no, no. Add the values of the two titles. What do you get? Yes. Pain, Get Lucky equals 144. Well below par equals 144. So he's tying it to this whole decode. And here's the decode with the successfully tested my draft punk jukebox pick. Get lucky because now comes the pain. So this is Trump using these two songs to communicate back to the cabal. Basically, you look at here, well below par is 144. So is Pain, Get Lucky. So he brings in here, and one of the key lines of the Get Lucky is like the legend of the Phoenix, all ends with beginnings. And there's a lot of them here in this pain deal. Q 1327, now comes the pain. Q, and remember Q 1445, now comes the pain, with that purposely leaking the key, right, or this password. Now here you go. Here's some things. They'll never take me alive. I'm getting high with my 4-5. There's 45 talking about Trump. Me and my man got a plan, kicking major dust. That's basically Trump saying he's going to be kicking the cabal's dust. A lot of pressure with the street fame. It's a deep game. And that's right. As you can see, this is a deep attack. It ain't scared to blast these suckers. If they test me, I trust. I got my Glock cocked to pay ya if they press me. So basically, he's well protected with guns, right? And will I live to be 23? There's so much pain. 23, just think about that. That's the opposite of skull and bones. Woo, pretty cool. Then you look at also Ivanka's last line in her tweet. She said, we know that you will change the world for the better. That's what we know. POTUS and the White Hats changing the world for the better. And you can also look at draft get lady as far as get these codes, and the test is successful, just confirming next possible resolving sequence. Yes, 23 equals W. So here's a decoded message on all that. On July 13th, 2018, the Cabal sent a threat to POTUS by killing Secret Service agent Remagan and flying a paraglider over his property in Turnberry, Scotland, with the message, well below par equals 144. The message was code for, we have strengthened China and have infiltrated America. You will never be able to defeat us. 419 days later, POTUS, while giving an update on Dorian, coded his response with pain. Get lucky equals 144. Pointing to 2 music videos detailing his thoughts and letting them know recess is over. Dorian is designed to wipe out the infrastructure of personnel they have been using for children abuse, human trafficking, drugs, etc. Like the days of Noah, the world is ready for a new beginning, and the phoenix is rising from the ashes. Woo! He could have ended it right there, and this would be that would have been a beautiful decode. But he goes on. Before the riddle closed with tweet 5 at 2:47 p.m., the maestro provided an update at 2:17 p.m. We know it's real-time update because it's connected to Q 1417, where he read updated. We add this video to the ones released within the riddle time frame, add up the respective lengths, and bingo! Barry Soetoro. I'm not sure how you pronounce his real name. So Taro, I'll just say for now, comes with his hiding place, image 19. Love you, rockin' everyone. All right, thanks, Lady Warren on. Here we got updated Barry Soetra. Here we go. We see now this capital letters we knew equaled flood, and you can do these capital letters to be royal. And you look at the 1417 drop, talks about updated. Right, you start getting this whole numbers and you add them all up, it comes to 171. 171 equals Barry Soetoro. Then you look here, Ivanka Trump, Wrath of the Lamb. You take the capital letters here, removed. 82 is removed. So what's the decode say? Like the days of Noah, the flood is designed to remove from the face of the earth all criminals and entities that are not divinely allowed to stay. The removal process has geographical, social, and metaphysical components. Geographically, the process ascends from the Virgin Islands all the way up along the East Coast. Socially, it will ascend on the ladder and will spare no royal politician whether he is in office or is a retired. C_A agent like Barry Soetoro. Metaphysically, it will spare no entity that has illegally immigrated to this planet. Noah, the end of days. Woo! Deep stuff here, guys. I know it's getting late, so obviously it's about an hour now. We'll be going all the way into the Bible study, so it's probably about an hour and a half video. Just warning you, but this stuff, there's good stuff here, so stay with me. If you're watching the video, pause it and get a drink and come on back, because we have a lot of meaty stuff continuing here. With Hussein joining the riddle through his update, we are equipped to solve the current feud about Alabama. Let's first enjoy it. So here's Trump talking.
Well, as Hurricane Dorian pounds the East Coast, President Trump is taking a bit of a pounding in the media over.
Actually, this is showing you, by the way, how Fox News has turned to basically be a cabal organization. Right here, they don't do their own research and find out that CNN talked about Alabama, which Trump had to go find himself. And Fox News here is a total hit piece on Trump.
His tweet after the storm had turned that Alabama would suffer the storm's effects, and his subsequent show and tell defense of that forecast. Late this afternoon, the administration was still pushing back, with the president's Homeland Security advisor saying in a statement he showed the president all the possibilities on Sunday, ones that included Alabama. Tonight, Fox News media analyst and host of Fox's Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz, shows us the domino effect of reaction and overreaction.
The question, how did a black squiggle on a map become a Category 5 controversy for the media? President Trump took some flack last weekend for saying...
So I'm not going to play the rest of this. You go listen to the rest of this. You'll see it's a total hit piece by Fox News, basically saying the same messages that CNN and everybody else said, when clearly forecasts and other people were talking about Alabama being part of it, and Trump even has it in a tweet I'll show you right here. As a response to Maestro penned a video vindicating him, showing CNN repeating Alabama 9 times. I think they said it once, but he says it 9 times in the tweet. It's a classic. Let's grab that right here. I think it's here. Here it is. This is classic response, guys. This is Trump trolling at his best.
But there are many states that are under threat right now, Dorian.
At least 6, from the Carolinas right through Georgia coastline into Florida, certainly, and then also even into the Gulf of Mexico, Louisiana, Alabama, 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 Mississippi. You need to be on the lookout.
Watch this now. CNN crashing and burning on the side of the road. That is classic Trump trolling. He actually tweeted that 29-second video, which is just awesome in my opinion. And so, did you solve the link between Obama and Alabama? Since Obama equals 32 and Alabama equals 31, Dorian hitting Alabama symbolizes the diminution or progressive destruction of Obama and satanic cabal's most valuable pawn on the chessboard. Why 9? Are you familiar with the flood of the river Lo in ancient China, magic squares, and the Lo Shu grid? Here's a summary. So guys, if we look at this, it's kind of interesting. This is this grid that actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's common in China where the maps, the north to south and the south to north. So you'll see this upper quadrant represents certain things. If you look at the middle word, it's talking about wealth, fame, relationships, right? And so we're going to be talking about that here as we go. So let's keep on going. We can now see the Lo Shu grid with this gematry, and this is gematry now feature and decode and so this is like geometry, but it's what the Chinese use in this grid a lot. Feature decode the maestro's tweet about Alabama, the fake news lying about it, and why he responded, I don't know, to the fake news. So Dorian started with the top shelf and is regulated. So we're going to be talking the top shelf is this 492 on the turtle. So this is, I'll just read this quick. The legend goes that during the flood of the river Lo, one of the great emperors of China found a tortoise shell marked with a perfect 3x3 matrix square in the black. The square, known as a Lo Shu grid, with every horizontal, vertical, and diagonal row adding up to 15, is used in Chinese. And this is what this geomancy. So I was reading that as Geomancy, Jumancy, right? Jumancy. But you add it here, it's 15, here's 15, here's 15. No matter which way you go, it's all 15 every time, right? Because north is placed in the bottom of maps in China, the 3x3 magic square having number 1 at the bottom and 9 at the top is used in preference to other rotations. So that's what that's all about. So if you look at Trump's tweets, he's talking about Alabama is going to be hit or grazed. The fake news knows this very well. And you see that he's now, if you take all the capital letters there, you're going to get top shelf, which is 101. And Dorian, it would be these top three things, which is wealth and fame and relationships. And it also is talking about Obama, Sotoro, plus or minus counter, which you'll see over here. All right, so you'll see that the length of this video, that this 29-second video I just showed you, which was a master troll by Trump, is 29 seconds. So 29 is calm. And we just saw that the whole Alabama's 31, 32, but these two balance each other. Top shelf, the counter, the -1 here. And then you see I don't know, could be also the flipping around of Ivanka's thing that says Wrath of the Lamb. 152, 125 is I don't know. So here's a decoded message on all this. With Dorian, the maestro attacked the top shelf of the Chinese low shoe grid, and its square 4 in particular, wealth. All the blood drug personnel and infrastructure in the southeast of the U.S. is being decimated by our troops, while Dorian is giving them the cover needed to operate. The illegal money hidden in tax havens is being seized without any criminal being able to claim it. As Dorian progresses towards the right of the low shoe grid, the south of fame and fame in square 9 are targeted. So if I go back to here, right? So there you go. Wealth being nailed by Dorian. Dorian nails wealth. Then it's of the cabal. Then it's going to be nailing the fame of Hollywood and all that, all these famous people. As Dorian progresses towards the right of the low shoe grid, the south and fame in square 9 are targeted, and the Obama counter decrements to approach Alabama. This is the dynamics of D-class, getting us from Barack Obama to Barry Sotoro. Can the cabal handle this? The maestro alternates between wrath and calm to achieve major political positions domestically and globally, and inverts Wrath of the Lamb with I don't know when the fake news challenges him. Pure beauty. When we have gathered all the pieces of this amazing puzzle, we can now assemble them. Here's the final decoded message. So there's 2 of these here. And this will be the end of a decode that is just amazing. So here it is, 1 of 2. Promises made, promises kept. On October 5th, 2017, I announced what I said could be the calm before the storm. The conditional form of my statement was justified by the hope that the cabal and its network of bad actors engaged in child abuse, human trafficking, and trafficking, organ, blood, and drug trafficking would acknowledge the meaning of my election and put an end to their illegal and atrocious activities. That was without counting the visceral attachment they have for their satanic rituals and their constant desire to control, humiliate, and deceive mankind. Instead of showing signs of reform, they have, on the contrary, shown fierce opposition to the ideals of human dignity and freedom that founded America, and which I promised to defend and strengthen. To continue their activities and hide their crimes, they have engaged in a vast treasonous plot to prevent me from governing by using conspiratorial methods ranging from biased molar probe to attempted murder and intimidation. When it became clear to me that hoping for a positive change on their part was a lost cause, I patiently waited for the right moment to launch the operation called Dorian, to eradicate the infrastructure and neutralize the personnel, allowing them to conduct their activities on our east and southeast coast. Epstein's arrest and the information he provided made it possible to accurately determine the targets on a trajectory from Little St. James through the Bahamas and along our east coast. Dorian is the first phase of the Storm 1 announced and is the conjunction of multiple military tools, the most visible part of which is what is commonly referred to as Hurricane Dorian. Under auspices of my December 21st, 2017 executive order on serious human rights abuse or corruption, our military is moving in concert with Hurricane Dorian to target the ports, logistics, personnel, and other resources used by the cabal to conduct their illegal activities. As illustrated in Q3451, the fake news is one component of the huge virus feeding on the satanic machine set up under Clinton's presidency and reinforced by tools such as the Clinton Foundation, Evergreen with its network of affiliates, and a deliberate policy of outsourcing ownership of our ports to limit scrutiny. Other components included the entertainment industry, banking, transport, etc. The fake news is well aware of the link I have established between Dorian and the low shoe grid to make my warfare communications clear with the cabal and China. They are aware, but will cover it with less because they are fake news. It does not matter. Behind the scenes, things are moving as planned, and great positions of leverage are being collected domestically and globally. Our economy is strong, robust, and continues to display outstanding numbers. I am confident Congress will soon ratify the USMCA and that the UK will soon return to freedom and prosperity by leaving the EU. The link I established between Dorian and the low shoe grid is not fortuitous. It is intended to reflect the metaphysical and spiritual aspect of the war between us and the satanic cabal. Ephesians 6:12 is being quoted here saying, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Again, that's Ephesians 6:12. As you know, since Cain killed Abel, Cain's descendants have organized themselves through this cabal to continue to fight mankind and with the help of Satan, and they have infiltrated China to use it as the current location of their headquarters. Q382. Satan has left the White House. It was therefore appropriate to convene the flood of the River Low legend to illustrate the first active phase of the storm, aiming at removing from our planet all physical and metaphysical entities engaged in the cabal's satanic activities. As going to Matthew 24:37. As in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. The satanic cabal knows these things very well. Trust me, they know. And he's quoting Isaiah 22:22. I will place on his shoulder the key to the house of David. What he opens, no one can shut. And what he shuts, no one can open. Isaiah 22:22. Then he ends with this, Q571. Fear the storm. Nobody playing the game gets a free pass. Nobody. Q. Woo! That is an awesome SB2 decode if I've ever heard one. The storm is here. The calm is over. Phase 1 was Dorian taking out their human trafficking supply lines, giving cover to the military to take these operations down. What an exciting time to be alive, guys. What an exciting time to be alive. We're going to move into SB2 Decode. I did want to mention, remember when we talked about opening portals and stuff? I'm going to go to an SB2 Decode here. Let's see here. Let me go to, I'm going to go to a Mark Taylor prophecy. If you just look at portals. There's America prophecy, and I go Command F and hit portals again. You'll see here. Look at what he said. And this was way back when in 2015, Mark Taylor, October 2015, over a year before the election. And he said, I will use this man, talking about Donald Trump, to shut gates, doors, and portals that this past president has opened. He will open gates, doors, and portals this past president has shut. There you go. And what does SB2 say? Pretty similar. when he said, I'm sorry, Q says this. Fear the storm. Nobody playing the game gets a free pass. Nobody. Where was I getting that? Oh no, Isaiah 22. Here it is. Isaiah 22. SB2 quoted Isaiah 22. I will place on his shoulder the key to the house of David. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. Guys, we're seeing fulfilled prophecy, in my opinion, right here. Donald Trump fulfilling prophecy from the Old Testament in Isaiah 22:22. How exciting is that? What an exciting time to be alive. All right, hey, make sure you go to my website if you want to get all these show notes. So it's pretty cool. I'll show you the show notes, for instance, of any SB2 thing I'm now able to take down. Like here's a SB2 decode I did on September 2nd, and you'll see I have all these things come out. Boom, boom, boom. Everything that SB2 all show up perfectly, so you don't even have to go and unlink them and everything. So a beautiful way to look at SB2 decodes is just get on my show notes. The easiest way to get in my show notes is to go to Contact Us. You can send me an email and subscribe at the same time, or you can just go to the front page. And the front page, scroll down, get on my email list. You'll get sent my show notes, including the SB2 show notes for each and every one of my episodes. All right? Let's move into the Bible study, and we're going to be talking about. I hit the wrong button. Hopefully that's, yeah, there we go. So we are going to be talking about John 18. So I'm going to have the computer read this. You can go to your play speed, 3 dots on your mobile phone, and hit play speed to slow this down. I'm playing at 1.5 speed in the interest of time. Here we go. Got to refresh because I already played it on mine, and it's not being happy. Bible.com just went down on me. So let me just refresh that. I'm sure it'll come up. There it goes. So I use Bible.com. Go to read. And once you go to read, you can actually bring up any part of the Bible. I'm on John 18. And right here, you put once you've refreshed, you can hit this little button and it'll play at the speed you want. Okay, here it goes.
John 18. When he had finished praying, Jesus left with his disciples and crossed the Kidron Valley. On the other side there was a garden, and he and his disciples went into it. Now Judas, who betrayed him, knew the place because Jesus had often met there with his disciples. So Judas came to the garden, guiding a detachment of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and Pharisees. They were carrying torches, lanterns, and weapons. Jesus, knowing all that was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, "Who is it you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "I am he," Jesus said. And Judas the traitor was standing there with them. When Jesus said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. Again he asked them, "Who is it you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they said. Jesus answered, "I told you that I am he. If you are looking for me, then let these men go." This happened so that the words he had spoken would be fulfilled. "I have not lost one of those you gave me." Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus commanded Peter, "Put your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup the Father has given me?" Then the detachment of soldiers, with its commander and the Jewish officials, arrested Jesus. They bound him and brought him first to Annas, who was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who had advised the Jewish leaders that it would be good if one man died for the people. Simon Peter and another disciple were following Jesus. Because this disciple was known to the high priest, he went with Jesus into the high priest's courtyard. But Peter had to wait outside at the door. The other disciple, who was known to the high priest, came back, spoke to the servant girl on duty there, and brought Peter in. "You aren't one of this man's disciples too, are you?" she asked Peter. He replied, "I am not." It was cold, and the servants and officials stood around a fire they had made to keep warm. Peter also was standing with them, warming himself. Meanwhile the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. "I have spoken openly to the world," Jesus replied. "I always taught in synagogues or at the temple where all the Jews come together. I said nothing in secret. Why question me? Ask those who heard me. Surely they know what I said." When Jesus said this, one of the officials nearby slapped him in the face. "Is this the way you answer the high priest?" he demanded. "If I said something wrong," Jesus replied, "testify as to what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why did you strike me?" Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Meanwhile, Simon Peter was still standing there warming himself. So they asked him, "You aren't one of his disciples too, are you?" He denied it, saying, "I am not." One of the high priest's servants, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, challenged him, "Didn't I see you with him in the garden?" Again Peter denied it. And at that moment a rooster began to crow. Then the Jewish leaders took Jesus from Caiaphas to the palace of the Roman governor. By now it was early morning, and to avoid ceremonial uncleanness they did not enter the palace, because they wanted to be able to eat the Passover. So Pilate came out to them and asked, "What charges are you bringing against this man?" "If he were not a criminal," they replied, "we would not have handed him over to you." Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." "But we have no right to execute anyone," they objected. This took place to fulfill what Jesus had said about the kind of death he was going to die. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked. or did others talk to you about me? Am I a Jew? Pilate replied. Your own people and chief priests handed you over to me. What is it you have done? Jesus said, My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place. You are a king then, said Pilate. Jesus answered, You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me. What is truth? Retorted Pilate. With this, he went out again to the Jews gathered there and said, I find no basis for a charge against him. But it is your custom for me to release to you one prisoner at the time of the Passover. Do you want me to release the king of the Jews? They shouted back, No, not him. Give us Barabbas. Now Barabbas had taken part in an uprising.
Wow, that is John 18. And there's just some meaty stuff in here. Obviously, some of the best stories in the Bible, and also just this whole thing when Pilate says, What is truth? Right, when Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, or whatever, and you get, and they got the secular world, what is truth, right? That's just like, oh my goodness, what a great teaching right there. And but we start with Jesus being arrested here, and we know the traitor Judas says, so in verse 3 says, so Judas came to the garden, guiding a detachment of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and the Pharisees. They were carrying torches, lanterns, and weapons. Other parts of the gospel talk about here he's teaching in the synagogue, he's teaching in the temple, right? He's all over the place in the open, and they come by night with clubs and torches and weapons because they were scared of all the people. The people knew Jesus was a great prophet at a minimum, but they really, most of them probably knew that this guy was blessed by God, most likely the Messiah, right? So they couldn't arrest him. They had to bring all those at night. Jesus, knowing what was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, who is it you want? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth, they replied. I am he, Jesus said, and Judas the traitor was standing there with him. When Jesus said this, I am he, they drew back and fell on the ground. I thought that was a really interesting part that John adds here, because in other Gospels it shows how Judas came and kissed him on the cheek. That's what's cool about all the Gospels. They all fill in a lot of missing pieces. It's just like if you're a lawyer and you interview like 7 people that saw the same event from different angles and all that type of stuff. You'll hear different details from different people based on the recall, right? And that's the way the Gospels are. I love it. Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, they all give different angles and different details on each one of these. It's pretty cool to think, and so you can just see they were just drawn back. Probably this power of God just hit him there. Oh my goodness, this is the Messiah we're about ready to arrest. But he lets them. That's why at 8 he says, I told you that I am he. If you are looking for me, then let these men go. So he's more worried about the safety of his disciples than he is himself. This happens so that the words he had spoken would be fulfilled. I have not lost one of those you gave me. All right, so with the whole 12 men he had, he kept 11 of them except for Judas, right? the traitor. Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it out and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Again, one of the Gospels clarifies that then Jesus immediately heals that ear. And as he says, Jesus commanded Peter, put away your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup the Father has given me? And obviously there was more things said, because it's like he who has a sword will die by the sword. That's one of the famous statements that's come from this story. Number 12 says, then the detachment of soldiers with its commander and the Jewish officials arrest Jesus, and they bound him. Obviously after he had healed the ear, and we know that Mark's running away at this time in the other Gospels, so that's why you read all the stories, and especially when all 3 or 4 Gospels have the same story, it becomes a beautiful picture of the truth. And 14 goes into Caiaphas was one of those who advised the Jewish leaders that it would be good for one man died for the people. This was really interesting. This obviously is a leader in the Sanhedrin, right? And he's talking about, hey, it's better to have this one person die so that the Romans don't get pissed off at us and run us over. But it was actually just the opposite. This one man was going to be dying for all the people, but it wasn't for the reason he was thinking. It was to basically save everyone, not just the Jewish people, but everyone. Thank you, Jeff Stewart. Appreciate that. Peter's first denial, and here's all 3 of them in blue. You'll see that I've highlighted. Poor Peter, because Christ told him that, he said, I don't care if everybody else runs away from you. I will die with you, Lord. And he says, Peter, I'm telling you, before the rooster crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter's going, there's no way. But here in verse 16, that Peter had to wait outside the door after Jesus was arrested here and was pulled into this other area. And the other disciples who was known to the high priest came back, spoke to the servant girl on duty there, and brought Peter in. You are one of this man's disciples too, are you? She asked Peter. He replied, I am not. First denial, right? Then he kind of interrupts the story and gets John goes back into when Christ is being questioned, and this is one of my favorite areas where during this questioning of what the secular world's thinking versus the Jewish people thinking versus what true believers are thinking, right? And I think it's real similar in parallels to our world today of what's going on with how much they hate Trump. But it said this. Jesus says, "I have spoken openly to the world." Jesus said, "I've always taught in the synagogues or temples where all the Jews come together. I said nothing in secret. Why question me? Ask those who heard me. Surely they know what I have said." And then he gets hit by the guy because he didn't like what he said, and Jesus says, "If I said something wrong," Jesus replied, "testify as to what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why did you strike me?" Now here's this very man God, Emmanuel, God with us, getting slapped on the cheek and saying, "Hey, if I speak truth, don't be slapping me." I thought that was kind of interesting. But the whole point I think here is that he's emphasizing truth, right? Just like Trump's telling truth, but the fake news is saying it's not true, right? That's that same spirit that we're seeing of Satan's demonic, deceptive spirit of lies that are all around Jesus here, are all around Trump right now, in all parts of our society. And here's second and third denials by Peter. It says, "Meanwhile, Simon Peter was standing there warming himself. So they asked him, 'You aren't one of the disciples too, are you?' 'I am not,' he denied it, saying, 'I am not.' One of the high priest's servants, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, challenged him. 'Didn't I see you with him in the garden?' Again, Peter denied it. At the moment, a rooster began to crow." Can you imagine how he felt after really believing that he would die for Jesus, right? And he ended up dying for Jesus later. And so this man was the rock, a great person who Jesus used. But this was a defining moment for him, right? To really rebound. So when we fail in our life, I think that's one of the lessons we can take this. Just think about Peter failed massively. Just think about it. And he ended up being used to grow the churches in amazing ways throughout the Jewish colonies, right? So, hey, there's not much you can do worse than actually denying Christ 3 times in the very day you just said that you would die for him, right? So, hey, we got hope. Verse 31 is when Pilate is actually talking to him and interviewing him, questioning Jesus. He says, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law," talking to the Jewish people. So here's an example of the secular people saying, "I don't want to mess with this," right? And the Jewish people are so angry, and this is the spirit of I believe the demonic lying spirits that are controlling the Jewish people at this time. And it said, "But we have no right to execute anyone," they objected. So they didn't want him just arrested; they wanted him dead. I believe that's the way, paralleling that to today, they feel about Trump. 32 says, "This took place to fulfill what Jesus had said about the kind of death he was going to die." Pilate then went back inside a palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Look how Jesus answers that question. "Is that your own idea? Or did others talk to you about me?" And so he answers the question with a question. And Pilate says, "Am I a Jew? Your own people and chief priests handed me over to you. What is it that you have done?" And so now Jesus answers with a very revealing thing in verse 36. "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by my Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place." You are a king then. So he really just Pilate just realized he knew he was a king. And this made Pilate, if you look at the other Gospels, even more nervous, right? His wife gets a vision about Jesus, and it's like, whoa. And it's crazy just to think what happened here. But This is when Jesus says this. This is two of some of my favorite verses right here, where Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." And this is, to me, what Pilate answers here is like the way the secular world thinks today. "What is truth?" retorted Pilate. With this, he went out again to the Jews and gathered there and said, "I find no basis for a charge against him." And so, just think about that. It's all this relativism that's hit us, and teaching and turning every truth upside down. What is truth? Right? It's exactly what's happened to our society, and what George Soros and all his financial mechanisms and the attack of all the areas of our culture, all what I call the 7 mountains of cultural influence, right, have been taken over by not only the left, but I think the cabal. And so the same spirit. I used to think that Trump was the Isaiah 45, what many people would talk about. Just like he's President 45, Isaiah 45 talks about how he used secular king Cyrus, right? And that Trump was the modern day Cyrus. But now I see the Spirit of God in Trump. I see the demonic spirits around him everywhere, just coming out from in the open, and spewing their hate, spewing their communism, spewing their socialism. And it's like, wow, we are living at special times here, guys. I really believe we're in amazing times. But that is John 18, which really gets into the power of the true Christ being here on earth. Even though that Satan thinks he's going to get a victory by nailing him to the cross, the boomerang happens, right? This is the boomerang we're talking about today. When they try to take Trump down, it's going to boomerang on them. And so once they crucified Christ on the cross, what happened 3 days afterwards? Boom! He raises from the dead, and that's our high priest. After the order of Melchizedek, they talk about, right? It literally covers our sins. So when you die, do you want to actually be going to confess, hey, I think I was a pretty good person, and they look at and inspect your whole life to see if you were perfect? Or would you rather say, hey, look at Jesus' life. He's my covering. He's my advocate. That's what the Savior is. That's the gospel, guys, is a free gift of Christ covering, the death on the cross, covering your sins, makes your sins as white as snow. Do you want your sins to be white as snow when they see the perfect life of Christ when you're an account of whether you go to heaven or not? Or do you want to defend your own life and try to say that you were perfect? That's why Romans 3:23 is really clear. That for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And Romans 6:23 says the wages of sin is death. Because you can't defend yourself. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody's going to heaven without the perfect covering of Christ. That's why Emmanuel, God with us. That's why he came to earth, to die for our sins, to cover us as a substitutional offering, and that is a free gift. It's 100% him, 0% you, so that you can't boast, and I can't boast. We only can boast of Christ. Have you accepted him? If not, I invite you to do that right now. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for sending your Son, Jesus Christ, to die for us on the cross so that we can have our sins taken away completely, washed as white as snow. And the perfect life of Christ allows me to get into heaven. That has nothing to do with me, and it has 100% to do with Jesus' death on the cross. I accept that now, Lord. I know I'm a sinner and I'm not perfect and I can't get to heaven by myself. My works are as filthy rags, as Isaiah says. But as Christ's covering comes over me because of his death on the cross for me and my sins, I can now live the abundant life and know and have assurance I'm going to heaven because he forgives my past sins, my present sins, and my future sins. And because I love him, I'm going to do good works. And that good works is going to show other people that faith without works isn't dead. Lord, thank you so much for that. For those of you who have already accepted Christ, I just ask that you become committed to really follow in these last days and to actually join God in what he's doing. Become part of his army of God. Ask him how he wants to use you. And then allow him to use you in a mighty way for his kingdom. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Hey guys, thank you for the long I think this is one of the longest ones I've had. I apologize about that, but hey, awesome content, huh? With we had the great drop on the hurricane and potential nuclear weapons and China sports, and then SB2 Decode, followed by just awesome chapter in John 18 on the Word of God. You got to love that, huh? We're blessed to get this content, and I feel extremely blessed with you guys. I love you guys. Again, the Dorian sign is the calm is over. The storm is here. Phase 1 of the storm just happened. What an exciting time with SB2 Decode Bible study on John 18, showing the power and the truth of Jesus Christ. All right, guys. With that, we're going to call it quits. Love you. Talk to you next time.